Okay, recording is in progress. You may get a notification stating to continue. In order to continue with the recording, you may need to click that. We're doing a recording concerning logging into Pathways, choosing a path, and accessing educational content. The first thing you do once you have logged into Toastmasters International, you see welcome in your first name. You click the Pathways button. That brings a drop-down menu and you select choose a path. When you check choose a path, it'll take you to 3 vertical blue boxes. When you're choosing a path, you focus on the second box, the first box on the left. For me, it's going to say choose a path, $20 US dollars, because I've already chosen paths before. Everyone who's a brand new Toastmaster who's never chosen a path, their first path is free. It's covered by the $20 new member fee that you paid to become a member. You click continue to path selection. And since this is being recorded, once the recording is downloaded and transcribed, this will be available for you to take and pass on to your other members who could not be here tonight. First, you select your language. If it's other than English, you would change it. How would you like to access your materials? There are 2 options, digital resources or printed materials. I do not recommend selecting printed materials because it's an additional $25 over what you would normally pay. If you like the nice glossy books and you're willing to pay that $25, that's okay. But if you select the digital resources, you have a great deal more available to you, the PowerPoints, the videos, all of those things. And inside the path, you can print your own workbooks that they have available for you on the printed material. So if you want to print your own, say the $25, that's what I recommend. So you click select digital resources. And then you scroll down again. You'd like to select your learning path. There's 2 options. You can view the path options. It'll give you a synopsis of each, and you can select one. If you really don't know what you would like and would like to have more information, you can take an online assessment. The online assessment is 20 multiple choice questions that they will ask on various subjects and asking them in different ways. Then the computer itself will give you a recommendation for the top 3 suggested paths based on the answers that you've given on what your goals and plans are and needs are in Toastmasters and your speaking and leadership skills and goals. This takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the online assessment. We're not going to go that route right now. We're going to go to view all path options. You click view path options, then select continue. And it shows all of the various pathways that are available. Now I'm going to make a quick side trip somewhere else so that I can go through the entire program of selecting a path. The next path that I will be selecting will be engaging humor. So you see each one of these, it will show you a little short synopsis. You click learn more, hit the plus sign, and it'll give you a greater detail about it. You can even click view all projects in this path if you want to go into more detail than that. But I'm going to go down here and select engaging humor. If I can find, here we are. I'm going to select engaging humor. That's the next path that I plan to complete, but I will go ahead and select that path so that you can see how the process works. For those who have never had a path before, this one will be free. For those who've already gotten their first path, this one will cost the $20 in the same way that I'm doing it. Once you select the continue, it says you selected engaging humor. This is just a double check to confirm what you have selected. Then you select continue again. Just to let you know, if there are people who have visual impairments that need accessibility materials, you can mark that in the Toastmasters International website in your file. And when you do that, then you will automatically be selected for the accessibility content paths rather than the electronic ones. In that, when you select a path, they will send you an email with access to a PDF file that is user-friendly with the computer screen readers, in order that those who are blind or visually impaired can use their screen readers to go through the electronic content. It will not have some of the things that are more visual, but it will have it in a different format that you can read. So it'll ask you to check your shipping information. It'll show your physical mailing address and your phone number. You click next, it goes to the payment method. You select your card number. Then you have to type in your CVC code. It will enter your information if you already have it. If you've already used it before and asked your computer to save it, then that's all you have to do and it'll all be there available to you. If not, it'll ask you to type everything in for that. Once I put all that information in, I click place my order. Everything will seem to go blank for a second while it's processing the order. But once the order is processed, down at the bottom it says, we appreciate your patience as your order is processed. And once the processing is complete, then it'll say, congratulations, you have your new path. You have to be careful not to click on other things while that's taking place, because it could abort the mission. Are there any questions so far about what I've showed you? Okay, the order failed, so I have to contact them. It may be because of my connectivity issues on my internet, but I will contact them. I've seen this before. It did actually go through, but it took longer than expected, and so I didn't get the approval screen back. It actually did go through, so I'll call them tomorrow about that. But that's not unusual for that to take place. I've ordered 17 paths, and that's the second time that's happened. The first time it did go through to TI, and it wound up in my path. Now I'm going to go back to Toastmasters International. I'm going to go to Pathways. Now, once you have selected your path, that was selecting the path. Quay, did you get enough from that to know how to select your path?
Yes.
Okay, good. That was the first step. Now, the second step is accessing your electronic content. And Juanita and Quay will both need this information, but others as well will be able to do this once you learn it and can share it with them. And going to the content, you go to Pathways. This time, instead of choose a path, you select Go to Basecamp, the second one here. Now, if you notice, it brings you to the same screen, but there's the middle button is the one that you're focusing on, and that's Go to Basecamp. If you're a president, vice president of education, or secretary, you'll have this second button down here that says log in as Basecamp manager. We're not going to talk about that right now. That's more administrative purposes for approving people's levels when they complete them. But we're going to go to Basecamp. If you're a member of more than one club, it'll ask you to select which club you want to be your Basecamp for now. That used to be more important than it is now. Basically, what selecting your club does is, but this selection, although I'm a member of multiple clubs, when I'm a member of Saline County in Pathways, only the Saline County club officers can see my Pathways progress. The other officers of my other clubs won't have access. If I change it to Capital, for instance, then the Capital Toastmasters officer could see it and Saline could not. I have it right here for the moment because there's a fella I'm expecting to turn in a level soon, and so I've got it there so that I will see that and I'll be able to turn in his level. But that's a whole nother level for those who are just getting started. We're going to go to Basecamp.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, on the first page, the home page where you selected go to base camp.
Okay, we'll select pathways, select go to base camp.
Right.
Then when you
Mine
scroll
wouldn't
down,
come up like that.
okay, are you on a phone?
No, I'm on my laptop. When I chose that, it took me directly to my paths and learning screen, and it shows my
Did it take you here?
yes.
Okay. Here's what happens. When you click pathways and click go to base camp, if you select go to base camp the second time, it'll take you straight there. Now, if you're only a member of one club and are not an officer, then all those other options wouldn't be needed to be chosen. And that may be why it took you straight to this page. There's not a second option to choose from, a second club or something of that nature.
Okay.
But now that you're here, I'm going to talk about these three things. Paths and learning is where we're going to go, but I'll briefly mention these. Speech evaluations, if you click on that, it will show every speech project in the entire pathways system for all 11 paths. You can select on any one of those. For example, your first path is going to be your icebreaker. Here's the icebreaker. You click on that and you can go straight to the icebreaker resource. You click request, it'll send it into your inbox and you have it. But that's not necessary right now. That's just something that's useful for you if you're going to be an evaluator for someone else and need to get access to their material. Okay. I'm doing a little side trip teaching you other things. Tutorials and resources, these are basically how-to manuals for everything pathways. But we're going to paths and learning. The educational transcript. When you click that, it will take you down and show you all of the different ones. Now see, somehow they sent it to me accessible. That's why we had that failure. It's already here. It's accessible content. I'll need to call TI and ask them to change that back to regular content and everything will be fine. The same thing happened with my effective coaching, but I'll fix that later with a phone call. Very easy to fix. But we're going to go to effective coaching. And it shows that we're registered. And it shows the level 1, level 2. It shows all the different projects right here in the beginning. This is brand new. This hasn't been there before. Okay. But you can see all the different projects that are available in this content. Okay, we're going to open the curriculum. And here we have, it always starts with the different levels, level 1 through 5. You can select level 1 here, and it'll take you to the icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, researching and presenting, and a level completion. Now, Juanita, for you and Quay, you've never seen this before, but this is where you will go. The first thing you'll do under icebreaker, there's a word that says activate, and there's a down arrow. Ignore the down arrow. That's a lot of higher level things that are not needed until you get an administration. Always click the word activate. When you click the activate, it seems like nothing happened, but something really did happen. The word activate turned to launch. This lets you know that you've actually activated this at one time in the past. These you haven't even been into at all yet. That helps you to keep track of what ones you've been working on. You can launch your level 1. And it says 1 moment, please. Notice it opened a new window, and it's going to take a minute depending on your connectivity, the bandwidth that you have, as to how long this little rat will chase his tail. But be patient, it will pop it up, and you'll get to your icebreaker. I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit so I can see the entire page. You see the maroon arrow here that says begin. Whenever you see a maroon box anywhere in the Pathways digital content, that means there's something else to see. You You click the begin. It's going to take you to the navigation page. This explains all the various buttons, the back and the next button, and these little radio buttons up here shows your progress through those additional buttons. There's a little directions thing down here that will pop up and show you extra information about how to navigate. And then the little chevron to the right is advance to the next page. The chevron to the left, return to the previous page. Now, some people have a problem. They've got their screen magnified and they see this. They click on this, you can click on this all day long. It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to bring your magnification in so that you can see the entire box. Make sure that you can see the chevrons that are on the white. This is the one that will actually take you to the next page. This one takes you to the previous page, the icebreaker. This one takes you to the next page. Any questions about that? Be careful about how your magnification is on the screen, because if you can't see those two buttons, you can't go anywhere. And there are many ways to change the magnification. You can go into view zoom, or you can hold your control key down and then use your mouse wheel to move your mouse wheel forward or back, and that will change your magnification as well. Any questions on that as far as magnification is concerned? This is an open content teaching. Feel free to ask a question anytime if I say something you don't understand. Okay, we're going to go to the next page. This is the introduction. It says you may have participated in an icebreaker activity at an event sometime in your life. These are activities that are designed to help people relax and get to know one another. Icebreaker activities are well designed and well executed, engage an audience, encourage them to invest in the success of the event. Icebreakers come in different shapes and forms. This icebreaker is to prepare you for your first speech in Toastmasters or your first speech in a particular path. Each of the 11 paths will start with an icebreaker. You don't have to give the same icebreaker every time, telling who your parents and your sisters and brothers and children are. It's basically speech telling us something about yourself to help us to get to know you better. One time I talked about my family. One time I talked about my experience in the military. Another time I talked about my experience with my wife. Another time I talked about my experience in ministry. You get the idea. I've given over 30 icebreaker speeches in my Toastmasters career, and every one has been different. Be creative and find different ways to share about yourself. And each time you go to a new page, okay, go ahead.
It was way back. When you were selecting which club that you would be using for that particular path, are your paths good for both clubs or all your clubs, or is it only exclusive to one?
That is a very good question, Lillian. I've gotten that question a lot because there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. Selecting of a club in Pathways, the only benefit that is to decide which club officers can see your pathway progress at that moment. Your path is yours. It does not belong to your clubs. Your path progress is yours. Now, let's say you've got a vice president of education in Capital Toastmasters, really sharp. He's sitting at the computer all day long, and he'll respond to those requests for approval for levels very quickly. You might want your home club in that club, while your other club has a VPE that's out working in the field all day like I am. He's not at his computer all day. Then it may be a while before he could see your request to approve the request for the end of the level completion. So that's just simply a decision that you make as to maybe which VPE might be quicker to respond to level completions. That's really all that's about. And it's not nearly as important as it used to be when Pathways initially launched. So don't be too concerned about what club you assign to, because all the projects in that path belong to you, and you can complete those paths in multiple clubs. You might do your icebreaker. Let me go back to this. Okay. Oh, I need to go to this screen. You might do your icebreaker in Capital Toastmasters and finish it. You might finish your evaluation and feedback in Boomtown Toastmasters. You might do your research and presenting project in another club. As long as the VPE of one of your clubs is made aware of each of these projects that you do, then there will be one officer who's tracking all of your different projects to know when you're finished with level 1. Does that make sense? The path is your path. You can work on it in multiple clubs or in one club at the same time. You might finish a level 1 for one club and a level 2 for another club. Another thing that's a bit confusing for some, when you finish a level, let's say I'm assigned to Saline County as I am now. I finished this level. I have the Saline County VPE approve the level completion. But Saline County already has their 4 level 1s. I plan to give this level 1 to Boomtown. There are 2 separate databases. One database is for Pathways. The other database is for Club Central. When you complete one in Pathways, the VPE will mark it as complete, so you'll see 100% up here on the screen where the 0 is right now. That being done will not show up on the dashboard. It has to be done in Club Central to submit it to the dashboard for credit and for you to receive your level 1 award. I can finish level 1 in Saline County, and I can call a VPE or another officer in Boomtown and ask them to turn in my level 1 in Club Central, because they need that award more for the DCP, because Saline County already has all their 4. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I try to turn my awards in where there will be the most benefit for all of my clubs. And that's why I have this screen that you saw briefly earlier. This is the log of all of the members of all the clubs in which I'm tracking educational content. I mark when they complete a speech. This one's going to go to Conway, so when they submit it, I'll mark it in red. The ones in red are already done. You see I've completed quite a few paths already, but I track these for many different clubs, many different members who are members of multiple clubs. And when I see the evidence that they've completed a path at a given club, then I mark that. I also keep up with the clubs here with their dashboard points. So that way I know, okay, well, Saline County has already got their levels. That one might need to go to Conway if I'm a member there because they need another level. That's just an example of how I try to keep up with that.
Okay, thank you.
But who turns it in to complete it in Pathways will be whichever officer of a club for which you've selected Pathways, that club for your base camp. The one that you want to turn it into for dashboard for DCP credit, you have that done by the officer of that club through the dashboard through Club Central. Any questions about that? That's probably one of the most confusing parts about Pathways. You mark it as complete in Pathways, but then you still have to go to Club Central and turn it in for you to get credit for it and for your club to get it on the dashboard and get credit for their DCP. Okay, any more questions there?
I have a quick question,
Okay,
and you might have already covered it, but DCP stands for,
Distinguished
stand
Club Program. Stands for Distinguished Club Program. This is what I keep
Okay.
referring to as the dashboard.
I got you.
Now this
Okay.
can be reached by any member. Let me go to Toastmasters International. This is the TI website. You can go to Leadership Central. And even if you're not logged in, you can go to Distinguished Performance Reports, select District 43, then go to Club Performance. Here's the dashboard. It shows where our clubs are, how many points they have, what they need. Of course, this is all last year's content. It's not yet final because they got year-end processing is taking place, and it'll be late in July before this actually starts showing this year's content. They're trying to get everything squared away to make sure that everybody got credit for last year, and it's going to take a couple of more weeks to get that done. But this is the dashboard. It stands for Distinguished Club Program.
Okay,
And if you've got Google or wherever, mark that bookmark so you can go here. That way you can get to it very quickly and very easily. Just hit this right here and go straight to the dashboard for District 43 on the Club Central side. That
do
is a
all
good
members
question.
have access to this?
Yes. Let me show
Okay.
you. I'm going to go to TI and I'm going to log out. Now, if you go to Club Central, only an officer can go there. This will be grayed out if you're not an officer. See, I'm not logged in. Leadership Central, Distinguished Performance Reports.
Okay,
Select the district, District 43, Club Performance. Now see, I'm still not logged in. Anybody, even a non-Toastmaster who knows how to get here can look at this. Maybe someone who's thinking about becoming a Toastmaster, they look to see which club that's in their area that they want to go into. Well, this is a President's Distinguished Club. I might want to go there. They've got quite a few members. This is open content to the public. Anybody can go to this section.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, but at this point, you've seen the navigation page. We've read the first couple of pages of the electronic content. I won't read all of this right now. You can when you get into your own content. Now, whenever this screen grays out and your little white chevrons disappear, that's because this little direction tab popped up and it talks to you about things. Whenever you see something that's in red, that's underlined in red, that means there's something that you can print. So you click this blue button, makes that go away, the gray goes away, and you can see your chevrons again. That makes this active. You can go here for project checklist and you can print it if you want to. And then it talks about the purpose and overview of this particular project. It does that for each one. See this grayed out again? That's because it gives you some directions. Multiple choice 1 through 5, developing, emerging, accomplished, Excel, exemplary, and click submit when you're finished. You got to click this blue button to get rid of it, to turn this white to make it active again. You read each one of these, you select an answer, and you click next. Read, select an answer, and click next. I'm selecting number 3 here just for illustrative purposes. But these answers that you give will only be seen by you and the computer unless you decide to show them to someone else. So you can be honest with yourself in doing these things, assessing where you are at this point. Okay, and now once you've done the last one, the radio button's here, you've selected it, it'll ask you to submit it. You submit your responses, you close that, and you go to the next page. It is very important that you fill all these assessments out. If you don't fill out the assessments, it will not allow you to complete your electronic content and pathways. It tells you about the competencies. I'm not going to read those right now. Here's a video navigation panel that tells you about expanding, hitting the play or pause, expanding to full screen, how far along you are in the project, and then here it tells you the amount of time that you've watched and then the amount of time left in the project. Once you click to the next page, it's going to start a video. You can maximize it if you want to.
Every Toastmaster begins their journey with an icebreaker.
You can minimize it again.
Prepare to deliver yours. You may find yourself
You can pause it, go answer the doorbell, and come back and play it again. And at this point, this is all the different things that you've seen Here again are some things that you can look at and print. Here's the goals for you. Here are, you see, I remember I told you at the beginning, if you see a box in maroon, that means there's something else to see. You click next, there's another picture and more information to read. You go through all of those. Here's a directions bar. If you forget how to do it, explain it for you. And here's some more. You see maroon buttons. Each of these maroon buttons gives you additional things to read on this side. I'll go back through and read all these things again myself because I learn something new every time I go through these. But this gives you an idea. Quay and Juanita, do you understand about navigating the content from what I've shown you here?
Yes.
And Quay, you understand that as well? You're muted. Do y'all have any questions at all?
Not at this time.
Okay. Quay, you're muted right now. We cannot hear you. Do you have any other questions concerning navigating?
No, I've been taking notes.
Good. That's great. This will be recorded and later we'll have it available that we can disseminate it so that you can share with others that did not get to come on tonight. Are there any other questions about any other part of Pathways that we've not covered so far?
Yes.
No.
Select to move to another section at the bottom.
Okay, yes.
Isn't it faster than the arrow?
Yeah, this is kind of a fast forward or fast rewind. If you said, now what was that about the competencies? Let me go back to that. You can click that and it'll take you right straight back to the competencies page. And you get done with that, you can go back over. Okay, let me go back to the prepare and present part that I was looking at just now. This is just a fast forward, a fast return. You go to the video navigation, you know the next screen is your video. If you want to go back and watch that video again. Then your evaluation, right here's the evaluation resources that you can print. This is a good way to go back after you've gone through all the electronic content to be able to go back without having to go to the beginning and go slide by slide through to find out where it is that you want to go. Now, there's something else that I would like to share with you guys. If you're using FreeToast Host, I use it for all of my clubs. It's a very great thing to use. And FreeToast Host is the best way to get your evaluation to someone. Here's the meeting agendas. Okay, if you notice here on Michael Dupsloff, he's speaker number 1. There's one blue button to choose a path or project and another blue button to say project speech details. He hasn't chosen his information yet. If he chooses his path and he's in dynamic leadership icebreaker, when he selects that, suddenly there's 2 more blue boxes here that pop up because he selected this in the agenda in FreeToast Host. The evaluator can come and look at the agenda and click the project description, and it'll tell exactly what the purpose and overview is of the speech and how many minutes that he needs to speak. This one over here is a one click to go to his evaluation form. There, straight to the evaluation form. He can type it out, fill it out, and then email it back to the speaker. This is a great resource for while we're still online, or even when we're in person. You go to the agenda, click on this, and then he can come up here and print his evaluation form to take to the meeting to fill out in person. That's a pretty slick little tool there, isn't it? That's why it's
Yes.
important for you when you have a speech to put your project in there and then type in your speech title here. And then if you want to type something for the Toastmaster to say when he introduces you, such as
The next speaker is a distinguished Toastmaster. He's been a Toastmasters for 3 years. This speech will complete his second path, or whatever it is you want to say. If you're giving a speech concerning storytelling, you might talk in your introduction, you might type in something here about the skills that you've had in storytelling in other organizations. Some little synopsis of something 15, 20 seconds long that tells us why we should listen to you give this speech, or what uniquely qualifies you to give this presentation. And we type this information in here, the speech introduction, then the Toastmaster can look at this and give the introduction that you would like him to use. Just remember, if you don't type anything in here, the Toastmaster is free to make something up. Any questions about that? One more thing I want to show you that's helpful. You see this little button here that looks like a man, meeting reports. When you click on that, change this to member speech report, and then you select the name, click run download. It'll automatically want to print it for you. Oh, we're in a new year here, so that won't show anything. Let me go back and do that again. Let's just select all. Member speech report and me, and select all. Run and download. I'm not going to print it, but this shows every speech that I've given in Capital Toastmasters, including the book, the project, the title, and the date of that speech and how many minutes it was. From September 19th, 2014, all the way to the very last speech in Pathways that I did. This helps you to see how far along you are in Pathways. It also helps the VPE to see when you have finished that level 1 or that level 2, because it'll show you the levels and the different projects, speeches that you've done. This is a whole lot easier than flipping through a bunch of paper copies of agendas that are stuck in a drawer somewhere, and maybe you forgot to put one in the drawer because you left it on the table at the meeting. Any questions about that?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I have
got
a
a-
question.
Okay, go ahead,
Now,
Barbara.
as far as giving these street speeches, what part of the leadership credit comes into play? When does that happen? For instance, like the manuals, you had to do a manual and address when you were a timekeeper or Toastmaster.
Okay,
When
in
does
your
that come
level
in?
3, one of the parts in level 3 requires you to perform certain meeting roles. And you have to enter the dates in it in level 3. You'll see that when you get into level 3. But
Okay,
as far as the DTM overall, you have to complete 2 unique learning paths, and some of you are right on the verge of doing that. Serve as a club officer for 12 months. Serve as a club mentor or coach. And then serve as a club sponsor or conduct a speechcraft or youth leadership program. Serve as a district officer for 1 year, and complete the DTM project. The DTM project is the new name for what they used to call a high performance leadership project for those who've been in Pathways for a while, who've been in Toastmasters for a while. But this is what you need to complete in order to finish a distinguished Toastmaster. If you
okay,
haven't become an officer yet, volunteer to be an officer. We'll get you trained to do a good job. The past officers will help you. Then the next step is to get your district officer position and start helping to sponsor a new club or mentor a new club or coach a struggling club. Those are some of the leadership positions that you need for your Pathways DTM.
okay, thank you.
What other questions do we have? We've got a couple minutes left. Okay. Next Monday night, we will be talking about Zoom etiquette. What's the do's and don'ts of working well in the Zoom channel to look professional, and the things that could be done that could make things go haywire. Early in this session, when I was having connectivity issues and I was logging on 2 different devices because I didn't turn the volume off on one device, then it created some feedback. And that was an example of some of the things that I'll talk about on next week, what you can do to make your Zoom video look as professional as possible.
And when you want to stand up, how far can you go for people to hear you? Those type of things we want to be able to, because you stand up thinking thinking that you're okay. And in the end, you understand that not everybody heard you very well because.
Right. The further you get from your microphone, the harder it is for people to hear. So we'll talk about a lot of those things on next Monday night.
Every Monday.
I do talk about pathways the first Monday of every month. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you have any questions about anything Toastmasters, feel free to email me at any time. I'll get an answer for you.
Thank you, Toastmaster.
Also, I'm going to give you the link for the dedicated members help desk. I'm not the only one that does these training sessions. There are many others that train as well. I do mine every Monday night because it fits well with my schedule, but there are others that are during the day, in the afternoon, and practically every day of the week, there's something going on with the members website.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful for me.
Same here.
It's very helpful for me too, Miss
Yeah.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Just go to dedicatedmembers.com to get the complete list. And of course, the bottom link in that is the link for our Monday night sessions. I use the same link every Monday night at 8 o'clock Central.
Okay.
Thank you all for logging on.
Thank you.
Thank
Anytime
you.
you'll have a question,
Thank
I'm
you.
available
Thank you.
for you, and feel free to pass your notes on to other people. If you'd like a copy of this video, send me an email requesting it, and then once the video is converted and I have access for it, I will send that access to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, you too.
Thank
You
you.
too. And everybody have a good evening.
All
Have a
right.
good evening.
Likewise.
Take care.
All right.
Nice